exactly 6 a.m. East African time. Karibu sana to Morning Cafe. My name is Linda Alela, always here to make sure that your day starts on a good note as we keep you entertained, we inform you, we also have candid discussions in regards to what is making headlines, and I mean generally other things, social life, matters, lifestyle. That's why we're here, and we got you covered without no doubt. And of course we're here, we'll also be talking about the politics of the day. So much is taking center stage while the year could be new. I mean, so much old stuff is here with us, and we're still having them as developing stories. So we'll be taking a look at the politics of Nairobi. We'll also be taking a look at the politics of BBI that has, taken a different twist. And importantly, we also review on what the day was like yesterday as we had our students resume classes, and importantly, day 2 of it. What is happening on ground, we'll certainly be here to update you. So karibu sana once again. This is Morning Cafe, and my name is Linda Alela. We always value your feedback. How do you get to interact with us? Hashtag Morning Cafe at Linda_Alela TV47KE. We sample some of your comments as we proceed with the broadcast. And as the norm, we keep you up to speed as to what is happening in the world of news, what is happening on the roads, and also we delve deep into those discussions that we'll be having later on as we proceed. So faster things fast, we take a look at what is on the newspaper. A brief look as we await our guests so that at least we'll be able to do it, or maybe to go through what is on the front pages as we proceed. And here I am opening my People Daily, and importantly, we have the Standard newspaper on a screen. And the first story: Fury praise greet Kang'ata's letter as Jubilee erupts. And indeed, a lot of reaction coming in regards to this particular letter that was written by Irungu Kang'ata. We'll be delving deep into understanding the ramifications of the same and what it speaks about the Mount Kenya region in regards to supporting the BBI. Who could have written, what could have informed this is one thing that we'll be discussing. Remember, yesterday we had the Member of Parliament of Ndaragwa, Jeremiah Kioni, who argued that this was not a wise move coming from Kang'ata. But away from it, there is also matters athletics, Kenyan athletes to keep an eye on in 2021. That is on Matters Sports, somewhere behind the back pages of the Standard newspaper. And defying the odds, no retreat, hope wins over despair. This is in regards to reopening of schools, and most of the students were able to go back to school with what the CS for Matters Education has termed as a success, because it says, the turnout was huge, indeed incredible, though we had some hiccups and problems here and there. At least we're able to see our students back to school. So like I said, we'll be taking a look at the developments of the same as we proceed. Court slams breaks on city by-election. Yes, this is also one subject that we'll be discussing. That is the Nairobi politics, as we take a look at what this stop means for the people who are set to proceed for the by-elections come February, and what it speaks of the Nairobi situation, and whether indeed that move by Sonko will be of great impact in regards to the same. Away from it, there is also the Daily Nation. Let's see what the Daily Nation has in store. Yes, here we are. A second, and here we are, we have it on screen. Keeping learners safe, no child's play. Thousands did not report to school because of pregnancy, lack of fees, and floods. Those are the key things that have been pinpointed as what would be a problem right now as we have our students go back to school, and also the aspect of just trying to uphold the measures set by the Ministry of Health to deal with COVID-19 or to curb the spread of COVID-19. But then again, it was a happy reunion for most of the students who were able again to meet their friends, able to meet their teachers and all that. Well masked and ready to learn, 2 million children, or about 10 million children, trooped back to class. Indeed, we also discussed that as we proceed. And again, this one on Irungu Kang'ata, storm over Kang'ata's BBI letter to President Uhuru Kenyatta. We discussed that as we proceed. Cardinal Njue, who's 76, resigns as Pope Francis accepts resignation of Cardinal John Njue Nyerere, who served as Archbishop of Nairobi. A story captured on page 10, and also got a replacement almost immediately to sit in that capacity until, of course, it's all clear. And we'll be looking at that also. That is later on as we extensively look at the papers. Sinking into debt, plans are afoot to raise debt ceiling ahead of the budget. That is also one thing that is cause for alarm in the country as Kenyans continue to grapple with tough times. And importantly, I mean, every other person is in debt. Clearly, if at all, we have to sustain what it is that the government has managed to collect from, or people who has managed to borrow. And also we have that local borrowing that is ongoing, and so much so. The People Daily, as we try to load it, is one paper that we'll be looking at later. In the event that it loads, well and good. If it doesn't, later on the broadcast will delve deep into that. But importantly also, we have the day's diary. And Madam Producer, if we can have the day's diary as the People Daily also loads. And here we have the day's diary. What do you expect for the day? The multi-agency on health issues will be meeting today, the 5th of January, to find a way to resolve the nurses' outstanding grievances that have been ongoing for quite a while right now. And also the CS for Education, George Magoha, will today assess school reopening process at Kianjau Primary in Kiandutu slums at around 8 a.m. and later conduct same exercise at Githwariga Primary in Nyeri from 9 a.m. We'll also be giving you updates of that as we'll have our reporters on the ground to keep you up to par in regards to what it is that it will culminate from the same. And also other events that will be taking center stage. We'll certainly be here to update you and also give you comprehensive coverage of the particular stories. Also on the People Daily, like I had said, at least is up. Still on the Kangata outburst and schools reopening, more or less the same things that have played out on the other newspapers. And on matters schools reopening, page 4, 5, and 6 captures extensively what played out yesterday. Curtains falls for Cardinal Njuo as Archbishop of Nairobi. And that aside, let's briefly take a look at what is happening on the roads. We know that it's day 2 of students getting back to school, so you certainly expect so much in terms of what is on the road. As always, I start from wherever it is that I am. And here we are around Westlands and Parklands area. As you can see, well, the roads are not so bad. I always say, just a reminder, when you see the red line, it clearly tells you that there's some bit of traffic, or heavy traffic, actually not some bit of it. This one that looks a bit oranges is what speaks of some bit of traffic. Yellow is not badly off, and also green is not badly off. So somewhere around Western Heights, that is in Westlands, as you leave Westlands Primary School, there's some bit of traffic. This is Waiyaki Way. As you can see, it is pretty much of an ease, but it gets to a point where there's some bit of a snarl up, as you can see right here. But then again, it is moving. Here it tells you that, well, it is not so bad just yet this morning. But to zoom out a bit and go back to probably, we start off from, yes, this central point, and some bit of traffic around Landis Road. Here we are, this area of Kikomba and all that. As you can see, the reddish tells you that, yes, there's a snarl up, but then again, not badly off because it's moving pretty much easy. And coming to these sides also, where as you headed to railway bus stop, that is bus stage, some bit of a traffic as you get to this roundabout. Also some bit of a traffic from the CBD, that is the Nairobi Central Business District on this other side. And coming to this side where you headed to railways, a bit of a traffic. This side of Uhuru Park, as you're taking this direction, you can tell that this is Uhuru Highway, not badly off this morning. Kenyatta Avenue around there, that is within the CBD, is not bad this morning as you headed to these sides of Valley Road, or even as you're coming from those sides headed to town, not so bad. Takes us to where Ngong Road is, and Ngong Road is also not ugly this morning. As you can see, I guess it's not busy just yet, but when students are out and headed to school, maybe it's going to be a different affair this morning. Let's take us back to these other sides of State House Road and Valley Road. Also here we are, not so bad. State House Road is here, this side of Chiromo. You can tell there's not so much of traffic. Valley Road and going all the way to Kenyatta Avenue into the CBD, not so much of traffic. These sides of Ngara, Also not badly off this morning. This is Pangani, this is Ring Road Ngara, and this whole here area is Ngara West, and all that tells you it's not so bad as you're headed to Parklands. Like I said, where we started from, it is also not as bad this morning. Let's go a bit to these sides of Muthaiga, and yes, as you can tell, it is also pretty much of an ease this morning, so that means not so much is happening. This is Thika Road, and yes, let's see whether there's a bit of traffic anywhere around Thika Road. Driving, we're going back. Of course, when you see traffic, sometimes mostly it's about when they're coming to town, or maybe to the central business. It's not so bad. This is Embu Nairobi Highway, Thika Road Mall, around there. It's pretty much of an ease this morning. Most of the times you'll find a bit of traffic somewhere around here, where there's around Gumba Estate, Meso Estate, and all that is off Thika Road. So when you get to around Garden City, you find a bit of traffic. But this morning it is not so bad. Where is this that we have some bit of a snarl up right here? Yes, Komarok Road, coming to these sides where there's a roundabout, and connecting to Juja Road, connecting to Outer Ring, connecting to this other side. Outer Ring proceeds to this other side. It's not so bad this morning. Just some bit where you can find some bit of traffic around Outer Ring, but it's pretty much of an ease, so you need not to worry. And yes, here we are. This is Outer Ring going all the way. Let's see what is there. Yes, some bit when you get to this area around Donholm, you get some bit of traffic, but also it is moving. So in the event that there's something else that is alarming, and we'd love to, we see the necessity of you getting enlightened of the same, we'll be here to update you. Embakasi is not so bad also this morning. Imara Daima, that will get us to somewhere around Mombasa Road and the Southern Bypass. Here we are. The Southern Bypass is an ease. Lusaka Road is not bad this morning. This is the sides of South B, some bit of a snarl up, but it is pretty much moving. And also here, just a short, bit of a snarl up as you headed to this roundabout that connects you to Nyayo Stadium, Lusaka Road, and all that. Some bit of a traffic, but pretty much of an ease. Let's now update you on what it is that my team has prepared in regards to news. And thousands of pupils resumed learning. That is yesterday on the first day of second term, and the first day of schools reopening faced social distancing, and as our that were challenges in regards to social distancing. And as our senior education reporter Sharon Baranga reports, some of the schools are opting to introduce learning in shifts so that they are able to manage the population of learners and ensure guidelines from the Ministry of Health are followed to the later.
Monday morning at Mwiki Primary School in Kiambu.
Our compound is small, but we need to have a lot of capacity.
Pupils are gathered at their parade ground, taking instructions of what is expected of them from their head teacher. For some, it has been long since they saw their friends or set foot in school. The excitement of once again coming together in school could be felt as they made their way to classes allocated to them. There are a number of water points and liquid soap placed strategically at a number of places within the school compound.
35.8.
All pupils had their temperatures checked, and at the same time, teachers ensured everyone had their masks on. The school has over 4,000 pupils. The head teacher announced during the parade that the learners will be divided into shifts. The first shift will start from 8 a.m. and those scheduled for the second shift will be expected in school from 3 p.m. This, the head teacher says, will enable them to ensure the protocols from the Ministry of Health are adhered to.
Sina hofu kwa sababu najua wakioga mikono, wafae mask, watakuwa sawa, na walimu wenye wako hapa wako na discipline, watawafundisha venye watakaa.
Business ziliisha, mimi kwangu nilikuwa hoka, kazi imeisha na inua inaisha tena. Sasa nimeshindwa mpaka kulipa hiyo private school. Sasa ndio namleta hapa.
At Olympic Primary School in Kibra, parents welcomed the decision to reopen schools. Some of them said it was a decision that was long overdue.
Vile watoto walikuwa mtaani, watoto walikuwa wanaendelea kuharibika. Lakini vile amesema watoto warudi shule, kama mimi mzazi nimefurahi sana, Makoa amefanya vizuri. Ni vile tu school fees ndio itatushinda, lakini mimi nimefurahia. Juu watoto walikuwa wametusumbua, Kama huyu wangu wa Fored, mtoto alikuwa ameanza kuuza ice, ukijaribu kumkataza mtoto asikii.
Apart from overcrowding, everything else is normal. Every child is properly masked. Most of those masks they are wearing were provided by the government of the Republic of Kenya, together with our collaborators.
The government says it tested the waters when it partially opened school for close to 3 million learners in October, and that they are confident that all will be well as Term 2 kicks off officially. Sharon Baranga, TV47.
Well, still on schools reopening, parents of learners from private schools that were closed and some turned into business centers were stranded on day one of official school reopening as they sought to find admission in public schools for their children. And as Andri Kilemi now reports, some learners in Nyeri and Turkana counties were forced to take their lessons under trees.
This was the situation in most public schools across the country, this being day one of official school reopening. After about 10 months of extended holiday, parents and learners were seen stranded outside school gates as they sought to find admission for their children.
Nimekuja kutafuta shule hapa Nairobi River. Watoto wangu wamekuwa kisomea Kiambio, lakini sasa venye nimeenda huko nikapata ni watu wanaishi huko kwa hiyo shule. Sasa ndo nikasema acha nikuje nitafute. Nimekuwa hapa asubuhi by saa 2 nikaambiwa ati sijui kuna nafasi.
Hizi watoto wengi hata wako nyumbani. By the way, ukienda huku urudishwe, utapeleka mtoto wapi na una pesa? Hatuna pesa ya kwenda private sai.
At Rore Primary School in Kiambu County, parents were forced to break into classrooms that had been locked by a contractor, citing delayed payments from the Kiambu County government.
Tumejaribu kusukumana na governor wetu. Tumesukumana na yeye ili aweze kulipa contractor aweze kutuachilia tufungulie watoto wetu waweze kupata mahali mzuri pa kusomea.
Low turnout was recorded in a number of schools in Busia County as areas were flooded, forcing learners to use boats to cross from home to schools and back.
Changamoto sababu njia ile walikuwa napitia kama shortcut imekuwa imefunikwa na maji na inabidi wasungukie kama kilomita 5. Ndio imepidi mimi nimejitoa kama mzazi kusaidia watoto kufukisha kutoka ngambo ile mpaka shule.
In Nyeri and Turkana counties, children were forced to learn from under the trees for lack of enough desks and classrooms, proving social distancing in schools to be the biggest problem.
It was not possible for us to conduct the lessons in classes because of the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Health regulations. That's why we found it necessary to have almost the half of the school to learn under the trees.
Education CS Professor George Magoa has said schools that are overpopulated will not take in more learners as the government is trying to reduce congestion in schools.
Child is brought here and there is space we shall take. If there is no space, my people, where is the Sub-County Director of Education? We have somebody who is here who will ensure by constitution that child is admitted where there is a vacancy.
The government has, however, assured parents that all learners will be accommodated in schools despite challenges experienced. Andrin Kilemi, TV47.
And as learning resumed after a long break following the COVID-19 outbreak, some students resumed schools pregnant. However, in many schools, teachers have promised to support them completely as they get to complete their studies. Mike Kagungo with the details.
It is every parent's wish to see their child succeed academically, evidenced by the strict adherence to the Ministry of Education directive in regard to girls who are impregnated. At Wamalwa Kijana Day School in Bungoma County, one of the schools adversely affected by teen pregnancies, the school principal Kennedy Waliaula says he has welcomed the teen mothers back to school, with counseling sessions by female teachers already in place.
Hatuna uwezo kufukuza. Tutawaleta hapa tuketi nao. Kuna walimu wa kike ambao wanafanya mambo ya ushauri, tutaongea na wale wasichana. Kisha tuwafunze. Ikiwa kuna wale ambao wana
Bungoma County Commissioner Samuel Kimiti and the County Director of Education Philip Chirchir have reiterated that the affected girls must be all allowed back in class, warning teachers who will be against the directive.
Tunataka kuhakikisha mtoto yote ambao alikuwa kwa hii shule kabla corona amerudi. Amepachikwa mimba, amezaa, labda yule hata kuja ni yule yako maternity. Na hata akitoka maternity
watapatiwa nafasi ya kusoma. Like we've been told in this school there are 3700 students. Today I think there are 2800 who have reported. That means about 900 are still out. So as the CC was saying, when you get these statistics, we shall now follow up to find out where those who have not come are, because they could have dropped out of school because of other reasons or they're out of pregnancy.
Meanwhile, Bungoma DEB is likely to witness a shortage of teachers since 6 teachers at the school are above 58 years of age, thus exempted them from physical interacting with the learners, with social distance being the biggest headache at the institution.
Government, there are 66 na miongoni mwao 6 wako na miaka ya 58 kwenda na zaidi. So na saizi namaanisha kwamba wenye watakuwa regular watakuwa 60. And I'm adding another or 2 teachers also.
In Nyandarua County, the Education Board has exuded confidence that learners who are affected by early pregnancies will resume learning.
Kuna wanafunzi wetu wenye walifunga mimba wakati wa hiyo mashule zilikuwa zimefungwa kuanzia mwezi wa 3 mwaka uliopita mpaka Disemba, na pia tunasisitiza na tunasema wanafunzi wote wenye walipata mimba kama County Education Board na kama serikali ya county tunasisitiza wanafunzi warudi shule. Waachie, kama ni mtoto mdogo mwenye alijifungua anaweza achia mzazi pia naye apate nafasi ya kumaliza masomo yake.
County Education CEC Dongo Wagenye, who is also a member of the board, has called on parents to release their learners, saying the county is committed to ensuring the girls clear school.
Na tutazidi kuunga mkono mashule ndio wapate counseling, ndio wasijione kama they are outcast kama in the society. Warudi shule, wafanyiwe counseling, waendelee na masomo yao.
For TV 47, I'm Mike Kagwango.
In an effort to ensure that learners report back to school in good time following the reopening of schools Monday morning, a good number arrived at different bus stations early to make it to school on time. However, the back-to-school preparations were not complete for some parents as they rushed to bookshops and uniform stores to make their last buys for their children. Nanok Loren with the details.
In an effort to report to school on Monday, many learners were on their way to various bus stations early in the morning. However, the long wait for these vehicles to arrive at the terminus forced a number of them to begin their journey and arrive at their respective schools late.
I reported here at exactly 6 and I've been here waiting for 3 hours. And the journey is to take like 8 hours. And that will make me arrive at school late because we are supposed to report at 3 p.m.
And naelekea Kadika Girls. Sasa sijui hata tutafika saa ngapi juu huku tumekawia sana.
Transline Classic buses heading to the western part of the country, for example, began receiving travelers as early as 4 a.m. on Monday, and by midday there were only 2 buses left. However, the buses give priority to school children in a bid to ensure that all learners are successful in traveling back to school.
Shule ambazo abiria wameenda kama Kisii School, the first batch ya gari ambayo ilitoka ya kwenda Kisii School, wanafunzi wa kwanza nafikiri karibu kufika shuleni sababu ilitoka hapa saa 10:30. We concentrate mostly today on students only, because wao ndio tunafuatia basi priority ili wafike shuleni, ndio abiria wengine wafuate baadaye.
Parents were flooded in some uniform and shoe stores here in Nairobi in an effort to make their final buys for their children who have already begun to report to school. Many were in long queues, with each of them determined to pick school uniforms and shoes of their choice, with some saying that insufficient funds to aid in early back-to-school preparations prompted the last-minute rush.
We are a bit late, but it is because of the economic situation that we find ourselves in. That is why we are making last-minute, purchases, because we are trying to put together, finances in order to make these purchases.
A similar situation was in one of the bookshops where parents showed up in their numbers to purchase various stationery necessary for their children while in school. Following the tussle of paying school fees, parents who had their children in private schools were received warmly after enrolling their children in Voi Primary School.
Tumepitia sana matatizo mengi ya private, lakini nashukuru hapa wametukubali tulete watoto wetu ili wapate masomo.
Nanok Loren, TV 47.
We now shift gears to politics, and a letter written to President Uhuru Kenyatta by Senate Majority Whip Irungu Kang'ata, allaying fears of possible referendum defeat in the Mount Kenya region, has elicited mixed reactions from leaders in the region. In the letter, Kang'ata confided in President Uhuru Kenyatta that only 2 out of 10 people support the referendum bill in an instructed survey that he conducted, that is during his December holidays, as he had put it, as Mwangi Maina reports.
In a bold and hard-hitting letter to President Uhuru Kenyatta, Senate Majority Whip and Murang'a Senator Irungu Kang'ata laid it all bare. Kang'ata telling President Uhuru Kenyatta that his brainchild of leaving behind a united country through the Building Bridges initiative is staring at an imminent humiliating defeat in the president's backyard, Mount Kenya region. Senator Kang'ata confided to President Uhuru Kenyatta that only 2 people out of every 10 people support the BBI, whereas 6 are opposed to the process and the other 2 remain indifferent. This, he says, is an unstructured data he collected in Murang'a during the Christmas break. Kang'ata wants President Uhuru Kenyatta to call his house to order by bringing together political leaders from the region, including the grassroots leaders, irrespective of the Jubilee Party faction they are allied to. Kang'ata told President Uhuru Kenyatta that his own personal intervention could salvage the boat from capsizing. In the letter, Kang'ata disclosed to President Uhuru Kenyatta that the use of provincial administrators is proving to be a major setback in the popularization of the BBI report, a move interpreted by many as that of government bulldozing its way and forcing the BBI on the common mwananchi. Kang'ata opines that the provincial administrators should be done away with in the referendum process. Kang'ata traces the genesis of things falling apart in the Mount Kenya region to the revenue sharing formula at the Senate. Kang'ata told President Uhuru Kenyatta that he raised flags early enough, but nothing was done to salvage the situation. However, 10 governors from the Mount Kenya region under the Central Region Economic Bloc have downplayed the letter by Kang'ata, saying he ought to have followed the official government structures and procedures while addressing the president. The governors chided Kang'ata, terming his letter as cheap and populist stunt. Murang'a woman member of parliament Sabina Chege said Kang'ata did not address the president as a representative of the mountain. However, Gatundu South member of parliament Moses Kuria says the letter is a testament that the BBI initiative is set to flop in the populous mountain region.
I'm not so sure now whether that letter was done by Kang'ata or not, because you have seen today we gave him a chance to explain, and he did not explain about that letter. And you've seen clearly he has also avoided speak to the media. So I am not so sure whether that was his own letter or not. Never the same as a leader in Murang'a County. I think when he said we are 20%, I would say it's a good reflection, because we have not even started we have not started going to the ground. We went and collected signatures. We are waiting for Chebukati and the team to actually now verify the signatures. From there. We'll be going to assemblies. And so I believe by the time we go to the assembly and the document comes to the National Assembly and the document goes to Wanjiko, I'm very sure we'll be now over 80%.
Hii nimefurahi sana sababu ya hiyo barua. Kwa sababu wengine wetu hiyo ndio maneno tumekuwa tukiongea. Na kama nilivyosema mara kwa mara, hakuna mtu akona haja ya kupiga mambo ya BBI. Lakini tukasema tukae chini tuangalie mambo machache hapo ambayo yanaleta utata. Na hata mheshimiwa Kang'ata na mimi tukaunda timu ya upande ya milengo yote, lakini mambo hayo yalipigwa na watu wengine ambao walikimbia kurudisha signature kwa IEBC.
At the Kiambu County Assembly, a number of MCAs echoed Kang'ata's sentiment, claiming that the situation on ground requires immediate intervention.
I can tell you niko ground naweza kuambia watu 8 out of 10 wanajua na hawataki BBI. So that is important, president ambiwe, na kila mtu anataka kuambia president ukweli. Amwambie ground mambo ni tofauti. Ground watu wanataka kusikia BBI. Hiyo ndio ile kitu iko.
Naunga vile Kang'ata alisema na vile vyote alisema na barua yake, kwa sababu huo ndio msimamo wa chama.
It's a high time that we sit down as Kenyans and we look at the things that unite us
more rather than those which disunite us.
Senator Irongo Kang'ata, however, did not speak to the media on the issue when he attended a burial in Murang'a. Mwangi Maina, TV47, Nairobi.
And as mentioned earlier on, that story by Mwangi Maina will be forming the basis of our discussion alongside that one of matters education and Nairobi politics. And we go straight to it. And the by-elections that were slated for 18th of February have been cancelled by the High Court. And of course, this then means that Justice Anthony Mirima is the one who suspended the specialized gazette notice issued by IEBC. And this is following a case that was filed by former Governor Mike Sonko in regards to that. That means it goes to a halt until that case is heard and determined. Let's take a look at that.
The former Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko got a temporary reprieve in his quest to overturn his ouster after the court barred IEBC from conducting the by-election. Justice Anthony Mirima suspended the election on the basis that he cannot allow the by-election to continue while there is an ongoing suit challenging the impeachment of Sonko as the Nairobi governor. The judge ruled that the by-election is temporarily suspended, pending the hearing and determination of the application by Sonko. The case will be mentioned on January 14 for hearing of the application by Sonko. In the case, Sonko moved to court challenging his ouster from office, claiming that the due process was not followed when he was removed from office. Sonko argued that he will suffer irreparable damage, not compensatable in monetary terms, because he stands to lose his position as the second governor of Nairobi City County without the due process of the law. Through lawyer Wilfred Nyamu, Sonko wants the court to bar IEBC from holding the elections. There is an ongoing case in court challenging the appointment of Anne Kananu, Nairobi's deputy governor, after the embattled governor Sonko appointed Anne.
Given the foregoing, and in the interests of ensuring stability at Kenya's capital city and the largest county by economy and population, I do hereby nominate to the position of deputy governor.
The Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission IEBC cleared Anne Kananu Mwendwa for appointment as Nairobi's deputy governor. Nanu's appointment was altered after the Anti-Corruption Commission barred the county assembly from proceeding with the vetting process pending the hearing of the case filed by Peter Odhiambo Hagoro. Speaker of Nairobi County Assembly Benson Mutura was sworn in as Nairobi acting county governor.
Remember, the hashtag is Morning Cafe at Linda_Lela is my Twitter handle at TV47KE. You can drop in your comments as we await to delve into that candid discussion. We look at Nairobi politics. We also take a look at the BBI politics and, importantly, the resumption of school. That is, of course, the resumption of students and, going back to reading. And we delve deep into understanding whether indeed it was a wise move and whether we needed to have closed down from the word go, as we have a candid discussion alongside Dr. Moses Mwangi, Dr. Barack Muluka, and equally Eric Ragalo. But importantly, we'll first take a look at what is on the papers extensively and then get into it. So we take a short break and we come back with more.
What's the perfect way to kickstart your day in the morning? Well, apart from having a healthy breakfast, the Morning Cafe is all you need. We will inform you on what's happening on the roads, dive deeper into the newspapers, alongside heated political debates.
Examples. Yes, we are using examples. Is America here to defend itself?
Did you know that your greatest wealth is health? We get down into farming, education matters, business and innovation. And yes, we cannot forget family matters.
These people want encouragement.
With some good Friday vibes.
When the deal is done.
The Morning Cafe with Linda Alela, Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Only on TV47. What's the perfect way to kickstart your day in the morning? Well, apart from having a healthy breakfast, the Morning Cafe is all you need. We will inform you on what's happening on the roads, dive deeper into the newspapers, alongside heated political debates.
Examples. Yes, we are using examples. Is America here to defend itself?
Did you know that your greatest wealth is health? We get down into farming, education matters, business, and innovation.
If someone really wants you for you, they will pursue you.
Relationships can be a bit too hard to navigate.
And intimacy has a certain uncanny charm.
Don't force something on someone just because it worked with your last person.
At the Garden of Eden, your love doctors help you navigate through your relationships.
But you never call a man stupid. Avoid that language. Avoid it.
Men don't know that women, it's the small things.
You need a person who you feel the butterflies.
Make a date with us every Wednesday at 10 p.m.
If someone really wants you for you, they will pursue you.
Relationships can be a bit too hard to navigate.
And intimacy has a certain uncanny charm.
Don't force something on someone just because it worked with your last person.
At the Garden of Eden, your love doctors help you navigate through your relationships.
But you never call a man stupid. Avoid that language. Avoid it.
Men don't know that women, it's the small things.
You need a person who you feel the butterflies.
Make a date with us every Wednesday at 10 p.m.
If someone really wants you for you, they will pursue you.
Relationships can be a bit too hard to navigate.
And intimacy has a certain uncanny charm.
Don't force something on someone just because it worked with your last person.
At the Garden of Eden, your love doctors help you navigate through your relationships.
But you never call a man stupid. Avoid that language. Avoid it.
Men don't know that women, it's the small things.
You need a person who you feel the butterflies.
Make a date with us every Wednesday at 10 p.m.
What's the perfect way to kickstart your day in the morning? Well, apart from having a healthy breakfast, the Morning Cafe is all you need. We will inform you on what's happening on the roads, dive deeper into the newspapers, alongside heated political debates.
Examples. Yes, we are using examples. Is America here to defend itself?
Did you know that your greatest wealth is health? We get down into farming, education matters, business, and innovation. And yes, we cannot forget family matters.
These people want encouragement.
With some good Friday vibes.
When the deal is done.
The Morning Cafe with Linda Alela, Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Only on TV47. What's the perfect way to kickstart your day in the morning? Well, apart from having a healthy breakfast, the Morning Cafe is all you need. We will inform you on what's happening on the roads, dive deeper into the newspapers, alongside heated political debates.
Using examples. Yes, we are using examples. Is America here to defend itself?
Did you know that your greatest wealth is health? We get down into farming, education matters, business and innovation. And yes, we cannot forget family matters.
These people want encouragement.
With some good Friday vibes.
When the deal is done.
The Morning Cafe with Linda Alela, Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Only on TV47. What's the perfect way to kickstart your day in the morning? Well, apart from having a healthy breakfast, the Morning Cafe is all you need. We will inform you on what's happening on the roads, dive deeper into the newspapers, alongside heated political debates.
Using examples. Yes, we are using examples. Is America here to defend itself?
Did you know that your greatest wealth is health? We get down into farming, education matters, business and innovation. And yes, we cannot forget family matters.
These people want encouragement.
With some good Friday vibes.
When the deal is done.
The Morning Cafe with Linda Alela, Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Only on TV47. What's the perfect way to kickstart your day in the morning? Well, apart from having a healthy breakfast, the Morning Cafe is all you need. We will inform you on what's happening on the roads, dive deeper into the newspapers, alongside heated political debates.
Using examples. Yes, we are using examples. Is America here to defend itself?
Did you know that your greatest wealth is health? We get down into farming, education matters, business and innovation. And yes, we cannot forget family matters.
These people want encouragement.
With some good Friday vibes.
When the deal is done.
The Morning Cafe with Linda Alela, Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Only on TV47. What's the perfect way to kickstart your day in the morning? Well, apart from having a healthy breakfast, the Morning Cafe is all. What's the perfect way to kickstart your day in the morning?
Eric Regalo is a political analyst joining me this morning to expound some more on the general aspect of things that have been going on. Remember, like I had mentioned earlier on, we'll be taking a look at the politics of Nairobi now that it takes a different shape after that order that was given by High Court. And we also take a look at the BBI and the direction again that it is taking every other day. There's something that we're treated to in regards to the BBI developing story, so we also get to hear the view of the people that I'll be having on set in regards to the same. And importantly, we just take a snippet or a view of what happened yesterday as students were going back to school, and still also coming to today, because a majority of them also were not able to get to school yesterday. So again, we also have Dr. Barak Muluka, who joins us also this morning, and later on we'll be joined by Dr. Moses Mwangi, who will be joining us via Skype to expound some more on that. Gentlemen, good to have you this morning. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you and to our viewers.
I'm good also, and everyone else. Happy New Year once again. As always, we have the People Daily, the Standard newspaper, and the Daily Nation. I'd gone through most of them. That is the front page, and you realize that they carry the same stories. Gentlemen, are you able to see this, or we need to make some adjustments?
We can crane our necks a little.
Well, thank you. It won't be long. It will be just about 25 minutes
No
maximum
problem.
on tops, yeah? And yes, most of the stories are on the same, like most of the stories are the same. That is on the front page. You realize that there's this story of schools reopening, and that one of matters BBI and the reaction coming from Mount Kenya after that letter by Irungu Kangata, and also this one on matters changes as curtain falls on Cardinal Njue as Archbishop of Nairobi. Nairobi, and the Vatican's announcement on the Nairobi Archbishop's resignation did not come as a surprise owing to his failing health. And there you go, is also the story that is on these other newspapers, like I have said. Let's take a look just to be sure. The Daily Nation, keeping learners safe, no child's play. And also Irungu Kangata, you can tell, storm over Kangata's BBI letter to Uhuru. And also we have this one on Cardinal Njue's resignation, and also the sinking into debt plans that are afoot to raise debt ceiling ahead of the budget in the country. Also, the Standard newspaper has the same fury praise greet Kangata's letter as Jubilee erupts, and also on matters athletics and defying the odds, matters schools reopening, court slams brakes on city by-election, and technically the stories that we'll be discussing this morning. Let's start with this one on the Daily Nation. Sinking into debt, a story captured on the back page of the Daily Nation. Plans are afoot to raise debt ceiling ahead of the budget. This is not strange. This is probably what we expected coming from the projections that we got from Treasury. But again, it still sends more and more fear into the spines of Kenyans.
We sank into debt a long time ago.
Okay.
And it was very outrageous for the Jubilee government to get a very stable country from Mwai Kibaki. Then they should have continued the same efforts Kibaki was doing. You remember the economic stimulus package, which took many youths into job. What happened? The employment stopped.
Yeah.
And we keep saying the youths, we are going to get jobs, and there are no jobs. Right now, youths are at home. So when we say we are going to assist, plan afoot to raise debt ceiling, or rather we are going to assist our country get back, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
The debt is outrageous. And it will come a point, and I'm telling you, if we don't get a working nation, our nation is going to be auctioned.
Yeah.
I don't know about Mombasa Port. There were stories going around that Mombasa Port is about to be auctioned. I don't know whether Doc, you heard about it. And what will happen if all our assets are auctioned? What will remain of us? Are we going to go the Zambia way? We are waiting to see. But the deal is we need to raise to assist youth get jobs. Because how we will pay the debts is how we'll get the jobs. Right now there are no jobs totally. And the only thing we tell youths that in the BBI we have Youth Service Commission, which is going to assist in what? What will be the function of Youth Service Commission in the BBI? There is no function. It is just what has the youth what do you call this? There is this commission that was formed.
Yeah, Youth Commission.
That Bruce was the chair before he left.
Yeah, he left. Yeah.
Bruce Odhiambo. I've forgotten the name. What has it done? I mean, do we need to have a commission for youth? Which country has such a commission?
Okay.
Is it for employment? Because a commission is usually for Doc, if I'm wrong, you'll teach me, because I'm young here and you're much more enlightened in something. When you have a commission is usually for employment. Parliamentary Service Commission is to check employment and many things about what happens.
Special purpose.
Is a purpose, yes. So what is the purpose for Youth Service Commission? I'm letting this in the debt. So what we need is to stimulate our country, get youth to work. We will be able to pay the debt. Then stop over borrowing.
Okay.
I mean, do we need all those roads?
All right. Well,
yes,
that is the question that we ask again.
Do we need all those roads? Or do we need a healthcare that is functioning that will bring back money?
Dr. Ari, what do you make of this? I know it's a subject that we'll not be delving deep into, but again, I'd love for us to, linger a bit on it. And one, I would also want to ask this question. Why is it that we always compare this with, Kibaki's reign? Why does it have to be compared with Kibaki's reign? Does it mean he really did well, or it's just that, well, he's fair enough in comparison to what we have today?
Okay, thank you very much, and Happy New Year to the viewer once again.
Yeah.
First, the comparison with the Mwai Kibaki regime, It's because you have to start somewhere.
Okay.
Someday, President Uhuru Kenyatta is going to retire. And when he retires, he's going to have to hand over to the next president.
Yeah.
And that will also become a benchmark. We will be saying that Kibaki found the public debt at this level.
Yeah.
And he reduced it to this level. He found the economy functioning or in a dysfunctional state,
Okay.
and he moved it to this coordinate. And Uhuru picked it up from there and he's left it at this point.
Okay.
So those comparisons will inevitably be there, even another 50 years from now. But, and I want to concur with Eric largely. You see, for a start, ours is not a very productive economy.
Yeah.
It's a consumer economy. It's like you're borrowing stuff to eat.
Okay.
You're not producing anything that will help you in the proper order of time to begin recovering. You can remember that 2 years ago, we were debating about whether we should raise the public debt ceilings from 6 trillion to 9 trillion. And eventually Parliament was arm twisted. And I use that expression deliberately.
Okay.
It was arm twisted into raising the ceiling to 9 trillion. As we sit here today, Treasury is telling us that the public debt has hit 8.9 trillion, which means we are remaining with only 0.1 to reach that ceiling. The ceilings are moreover just safety zones. You are not supposed to borrow up to that level. The moment your indicator starts showing that you are moving towards that level, it is a red flag, and you need to look again at what you are doing and see how you are going to correct it. You don't fill a pit by digging another pit and more pits to try to fill up the pits that you dug before. That is where we are. And now this borrowing is not going towards any production of fresh wealth. It's going towards recurrent expenditure. And so we are caught up in a very bad trap, a vicious circle of borrowing. And there are those who have suggested that we need a public debt agency or even a commission daktari for that matter.
Which is now going to be applicable,
for that matter, which would be a special vehicle, the purpose vehicle for matters of borrowing.
There's a bill. There's a bill in Parliament presented by Honorable Bunyasi Sakwa,
yes.
Public Management Bill. Do you suppose that would come in handy?
I think so. I'm familiar with that bill, and admittedly, I've been part of the process that encouraged Mheshimiwa John Bunyasi to develop that bill, and it is a good thing, which hopefully Parliament will pass and the President can sign. But there's so much opacity. Our President, for example, was recently in France. He signed another debt bill for a good purpose, but we don't even know what the contents are. We have got the Chinese here with their hand almost everywhere in everything. We don't know the details. Some of the things have been even written in languages that we cannot read or understand. And we are putting the country on the auction market for the future. We cannot tell where this country is going to be 30, 40, 50 years from now. Maybe we don't even care. Those who are in government are saying, where do I care? 60 years, 70 years from now, I want to be around. We must all the time think about posterity.
How then does this connect to the social aspect or the social well-being or the social stamina that we hold as a people. Because constantly when we've talked about the coming in of Chinese and us incurring debt from China, you realize then that they have so much power when they come on board to make negotiations. And this power is cemented with the kind of social contracts that they have and the cultures that they have engraved themselves into. Contrary to what we have, what does it speak? What should we do to strengthen our social culture, Eric?
What happened is that we lost education. Our country, during the inception of 844, we stopped being a productive country where we are producing students who are able to come in and bring what we call innovations, and those innovations were supposed to be industrial innovations. We normally have science congresses. I remember attending many of them from Form 1 to Form 4, and I would see bright students thinking out of the box, and it was just ending there, a science congress, and that was it. And what Chinese and let me also say Koreans have done, because we were together some years at the same point in time, suffering the same problems, which they don't suffer today, they went into innovation. They went into education. 844 came to teach me to cram 12 subjects and make sure I get an A to go to a medical school. You get? Whereas some schools were teaching students according to what the capability of that student is. If that student is on music, they will not keep pumping biology into that head. You'll be given a harp to start playing. Tomorrow you produce nice music. You get to pay your revenue to the KRA, and the country moves. Our country, even our musicians are a trouble. What they sing is not what should be sung. That is a story for another day. I don't want to be beaten.
I don't want to agree with Eric.
Yes.
Because first of all, I'm a product of the old system, naturally.
Yes.
And which was a very intellectually stimulating system. But I think that system prepared us for employment. It did not prepare us for innovation.
Yes.
It prepared us to fit into silos that were already in place. Yes, we may have been very good at theory, at looking at things analytically and managerial skills and so on. But compared with 844, I think there's more industry and more drive towards being innovative and being self-reliant and self-dependent among the 844 graduates than
we're twisting this to competence-based curriculum. And you know, all this is coming in the name of the fact that we've not engraved skills in our children, and so
it's a game of semantics.
Okay.
I was there when 844 was introduced in this country. I had already gotten my first degree from the University of Nairobi, and therefore, if you want the institutional memory, I can walk you through the process. They said the same things they are saying today. They were saying that the old system did not encourage us to be innovative, and which I think is largely true, because we got into situations where we had systems, where we had instruments, and we knew that it is done like this. We also got onto a labor market that was waiting for graduates to employ. At my time as a final year student at the University of Nairobi, employers were known to come to headhunt from the campus. In any event, there were just 3 or 4 campuses of the same university. Now you have an 844 situation where we are training people, and even the government itself does not seem to care what is going to happen to them after they leave. These people are forced to think hard and to repeat their cliche, to think outside the box, and to find out how they are going to be self-dependent, self-reliant. The problem here is that we do not create the necessary infrastructures that will support them to do that which they have innovated. I think there's a lot more innovation, there's a lot more creativity, there's a lot more industry, but there is a lot less support by those who are supposed to be helping. President Moi, for all his perceived and real sins of omission and commission, to a great extent you can give it to him, even if it's just the support of the Jua Kali sector, which became one of his pet subjects. If you look at the cottage industries that we had in the country, you don't see much of that today. You can come up with your so-called youth commissions, and which just become extensions of the executive gravy train.
Okay, allow me to cut you short, Doc, so we can briefly take a quick break and then we come back to expound some more on that.
What's the perfect way to kickstart your day in the morning? Well, apart from having a healthy breakfast, the Morning Cafe is all you need. We will inform you on what's happening on the roads, dive deeper into the newspapers, alongside heated political debates.
Examples. Yes, we are using examples. Is America here to defend itself?
Did you know that your greatest wealth is health? We get down into farming, education matters, business and innovation. And yes, we cannot forget family matters.
These people want encouragement.
With some good Friday vibes.
When the deal is done.
The Morning Cafe with Linda Alela, Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. only on TV47. What's the perfect way to kickstart your day in the morning? Well, apart from having a healthy breakfast, the Morning Cafe is all you need. We will inform you on what's happening on the roads, dive deeper into the newspapers, alongside heated political debates.
Examples. Yes, we are using examples. Is America here to defend itself?
Did you know that your greatest wealth is health? We get down into farming, education matters, business and innovation. And yes, we cannot forget family matters.
These people want encouragement.
With some good Friday vibes.
When the deal is done.
The Morning Cafe with Linda Alela, Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. only on TV47. What's the perfect way to kickstart your day in the morning? Well, apart from having a healthy breakfast, the Morning Cafe is all you need. We will inform you on what's happening on the roads, dive deeper into the newspapers, alongside heated political debates.
Examples. Yes, we are using examples. Is America here to defend itself?
Did you know that your greatest wealth is health? We get down into farming, education matters, business and innovation. And yes, we cannot forget family matters.
These people want encouragement.
With some good Friday vibes.
When the deal is done.
The Morning Cafe with Linda Alela, Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. only on TV47. What's the perfect way to kickstart your day in the morning? Well, apart from having a healthy breakfast, the Morning Cafe is all you need. We will inform you on what's happening on the roads, dive deeper into the newspapers, alongside heated political debates.
Examples. Yes, we are using examples. Is America here to defend itself?
Did you know that your greatest wealth is health? We get down into farming, education matters, business and innovation. And yes, we cannot forget family matters.
These people want encouragement.
With some good Friday vibes.
When the deal is done.
The Morning Cafe with Linda Alela, Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Only on TV47. What's the perfect way to kickstart your day in the morning? Well, apart from having a healthy breakfast, the Morning Cafe is all you need. We will inform you on what's happening on the roads, dive deeper into the newspapers, alongside heated political debates.
Examples. Yes, we are using examples. Is America here to defend itself?
Did you know that your greatest wealth is health?
Well, I'm glad more of the stories that have been captured with the newspapers are technically the stories that we have opted to choose to discuss this morning. So we'll basically say that we're combining the newspapers with the discussion. And so before we went for break, we were delving deep into understanding the education system in the country and just how much it enables or it equips our students to go out there and face the job market, and importantly go out there and be innovative. Last speaker, Barak Muluka, or Dr. Barak Muluka, was trying to expound some more on the differences that we've witnessed in the kind of systems that we've had, and even the one that we are about to adapt fully, that is the competence-based curriculum that has been challenged by many but equally received with the same love by others. And so as we discuss matters education, I think it's only fair that we also proceed to what the newspaper speaks about, the aspect of education, keeping learners safe, no child's play. And like I said, most of the papers have captured the aspect of education and how, of course, our students were able to go back to school yesterday. And here we are. It takes page 2, 3, 4, and almost 5 of the Daily Nation. If you can't boost free education, get ready to fund private schools. That is through the government. No schools to go to, no trees to learn under. That is for Baringo pupils. And also this will be part of our discussion this morning, so we'll just combine the entire thing. Optimism, and fear as 10 million learners troop back to schools. Thousands fail to report to school. That is just how huge this is. Learning kicks off across the country amid myriad challenges and problems posed by COVID-19. Dr. Moses is online and joins us via Skype. That is Dr. Moses Mwangi. I'd love for you to tell us something small about what you make of the process of getting our students back to school yesterday. And I mean, the biggest question, was it really necessary for us to have closed down in the first place?
Thank you very much for having me. Now it is important that the children go back to school.
Yeah.
When we closed, or when the schools were closed back on the 15th of March 2020, it was at the time when this COVID-19 pandemic broke out, and none of us knew exactly how it was going to unfold. None of us understood the virus. And when it comes to infectious diseases like COVID-19 is, we know that the single most important non-medical intervention of dealing with an infectious disease is to close schools, because that is a place where there is a lot of infections. But if you ask me, and I think I'm on record, way back in June, July, I was saying that schools should reopen by latest September, because by then we had understood the virus, and indeed many countries who have a worse off problem of COVID globally reopened their schools. So I would like to say that now that we have understood the virus, this is the time to reopen schools, because I think children are better off in school than at home.
Okay.
And whatever it takes, we need them in school.
All right, whatever it takes is one question that we're asking. But before we come to you, Dr. Barak, let's first loop in Eric. And Eric, human resource is quite a huge challenge right now. So bridging the gap is something that is in question. I mean, abiding by what it is that has been set as, guidelines to try and curb COVID-19 is equally a question mark today. And I mean, the CS himself acknowledges that indeed also the aspect of social distancing is an elephant in the room. And we still are not able to do this. Ironically, when we had numerous numbers, or maybe when we had probably just one case, we closed down. Now we have numerous cases, we are opening up. And I mean, we've given all the reasons as to why it is necessary for us to have our students back to school. But the question is it honest to even say that indeed, as a country, we were set, as of course projected by the government, based on what we witnessed yesterday?
We were not prepared for reopening of schools. If we were prepared, I would give you a bit of history. When we closed down and the students went away, government was aware that some schools, which are private schools, were never going to reopen. One, the economy depends on students in school, and many people lost jobs. Some of these schools have not opened at all. Actually, some of the buildings are now houses. They've been turned into houses, now people have rented. One of the buildings, actually, I know, is in Isili Section 3, which was a former school. The Gorofa is now a story building people have rented. So what happened about the students and all the infrastructure the school has? So we knew that we'll have many students, many pupils and students going back to public.
Yeah.
So what was the mitigation plan? The mitigation plan was, one, in that duration of 1 year, if I'm wrong, I need to be corrected, we didn't have free primary education money was saved.
Yeah.
Free secondary cash, which not free, it is shared secondary, because it's usually shared money, was saved. And many government agencies and departments saved money. They were not traveling. All these monies should have been directed elsewhere. Right. And that's, I know, that's what happens. When we have tragedies, we direct money to mitigate and assist people who have had a problem. So this was a national problem. If we could have gone to these schools, one, expand classes. Of course, desks, the desk issue came, which was okay. After that, find out, which was easy for the government because it has everything, all the resources, how much it would take to have the students back to school. Give a program of employment of teachers. Like you remember the economic stimulus package where people were employed for 2 years program before you are permanently employed. Okay?
Yes.
Give a program of employment of new teachers. Remuneration purposes was supposed to be part of it. As you do that, you are actually preparing space for kids to come back to school. I heard Magoha saying no African country built anything. And I forgot, I read somewhere, I need to be corrected also if my eyes didn't see right, that Rwanda built 22,000 classrooms.
He equally said you cannot compare Kenya to Rwanda based on the population.
You can compare Kenya to Rwanda by everything.
He argued his case.
You actually can even compare.
You shouldn't.
You can even compare Kenya to Rwanda in many things. Because Rwanda is actually less than 20 years old from war. They have so much problem. We have been stable. Our fight is small here and there. They are usually political fight, not even socio-economic fights. So that is one. Two, as you prepare students to go back to school, prepare the hospitals to take upsurge, because now students, you cannot prevent these people. It's illogic to tell me you'll have a one social distance in a primary school of 500, 1,000, 4,700 like Olympic, you put people under social distance. If there will be one infection, they will get infected. These infections are going to go communal, and it will be an upsurge in hospitals. Right now, hospitals are in problems. Governor Oparanya wrote a letter yesterday, which is again against what had been agreed. So what are we talking about?
And speaking of which...
So are we... These kids are going to bring upsurge of infection. It's going to go to public hospital. Nurses are on strike to date. CEOs are back to work. Their letter is a matter of argument with even the doctor's letter. Is a matter of argument. So how are we going to mitigate now the infection that is going to come back? Are we a nation that want to work together, or are we a nation that jump into conclusions? My issue is social distancing is impossible. They are going to the toilet at the same time. How are they going to the toilet?
And let's just base this conversation.
How are they going to those dining halls?
Okay.
We used to queue for food. How are they maintaining the dormitories? It's impossible.
Well,
so
while
even
it is impossible,
even masking these people in schools, is it workable?
Well, yesterday
and then
the
development of lungs. You have preterm kids who go to school. Preterm means they were born prematurely. They will take longer to develop. One, their lung development is a question. Two, you have young kids in school, one nursery, I don't know how they are called. We never went through that system. P1, P2,
PP1,
yes.
Yeah.
You are masking kids whose lungs are not well developed. The oxygen capacity. We may say Magoha is wrong, somewhere is right. You need these people under a tree. You can't mask them, put them in a class with the oxygen capacity they are going to consume. They will be in trouble.
Well, it was scorching in Baringo, as you can see right here. Say the pupils were under the sun. It was extremely bad. So the weather conditions are also questionable at this particular point. Now
is
that's
there
the
social
point.
Distance in that boat?
But now what really needs to be done, according to CS Magoha, Dr. Barak, he argues that indeed yesterday's activities or yesterday's reopening process was indeed a success based on what it is that they had set as expectations and what they were able to achieve. And just picking up from the pictures of yesterday, I mean, you see two teachers in one class teaching different subjects to different students, all this in trying to innovate and just have the students learn. I mean, was it a success?
You see, success is not measured in a vacuum.
Right.
One has got a marking scheme or a script, and you base your performance
on that
script.
Yes.
So, if what we saw yesterday is the marking scheme that Professor Magoha, and who has been a vice chancellor of the foremost university in the area, heard, then we can understand where he is coming from. But measured against universal international indicators, you cannot say that it was a success. That is why there is standardization globally, so that what you consider to be a success in your little corner is not recognized elsewhere as a success. There is a saying that if you are running in a race of tortoises, even when you win, you are still a tortoise. You cannot say that I'm now the champion, I can run against Eliud Kipchoge. But as I speak to that a little more, and I think you will be inviting Dr. Moses Mwangi to explain a little bit what he means when he says whatever it takes. Because maybe that is where Professor Magoha is. When you say whatever it takes, you are saying that there's no price that is too big to be paid. We will pay any price, even if it means that some of our children are going to die, we are going to lose teachers, whatever it takes. We must interpret it in its broadest possible context. But all this speaks to one thing, that we have a purposeless, visionless, and directionless leadership in this country. And it begins with the political leadership, but it doesn't end up there, because that political leadership is the custodian of the rest of the leaderships that we have. When we closed schools for 9 months, what was the purpose of closing? Did we close expecting that the bug would go away, then we would go back to the same environments that we had been into, just carry masks and bring a bit of water, and that would be it. People shut down so that they can put in place measures, what Eric is calling mitigation, that they can mitigate, that when you get back there, if Dr. Moses Mwangi is right that we have understood the bug a little better, then we have put in place certain measures and instruments that are going to enable us to carry on with our lives and activities, regardless of the fact that the virus continues to be there. We didn't do that. Even when we sent the children home, we did not spend as a government any time trying to find out whether they were safe there. Children have been milling about the place in the villages, in estates, until you started wondering why were they not then just left to carry on in school. We are told that we cannot compare ourselves to Rwanda, and perhaps we shouldn't, because Rwanda in this context is one of the tortoises that I'm talking about. But the tortoise is moving even faster than our Eliud Kipchoge in the Ministry of Education. So we must ask Professor Magoha, why is it that even the tortoise is running faster than yourself, than we are doing? And it is true that countries are shutting down. The United Kingdom, from today, is shutting down indefinitely until they reach certain levels of vaccination, and they have a program for it. Germany is on partial lockdown. France is on partial lockdown. It's only societies that are led by either visionless and directionless leaders like we have, or stubborn people like our President Donald Trump, who do not know what is good for them, for them as individuals and for the country, that things such as we are seeing in this country today happen.
Okay, well, let's allow Dr. to respond to you, and I mean, come back on that aspect of just whatever it takes. Can we really lazily and, confidently also say that, and knowing very well that the lives of our very own future, lie in the balance?
Now, thank you very much. Let me weigh in on what we now understand about the virus. I have been in the field of infectious diseases for over 25 years. What do we understand about the virus? The epidemiology of this virus. One, the older you are, the worse it is if you are infected. Indeed, children are largely asymptomatic. The younger the child, the better. So we know that the virus has a bigger effect on older. That's number one. That means that as we reopen schools, we do that which we must do to keep them safe. And that, to me, one of the big issues is hand washing, water and soap. If you can afford a sanitizer, fine. When it comes to masking, I think Professor Makoha and the advisors of the government, we should be more pragmatic. Children under 6 years should not unmask. And even though they can get the virus, we haven't seen a lot of children come down. Now, given that recently there is a new variant in the UK and it's spreading across the world that is affecting younger people, the major issue here we should be looking at are secondary school. That is one thing we have understood. The other thing, and which is really the disaster that I see, is that we did not prepare. Schools should be linked to healthcare system. There should be, if you asked me, there is a school in a particular place, several schools, there is this hospital, there are these doctors who are linked to this school, so that in the event that we have any issue arise, we are able to see it quite quickly and be able to address. Now, this issue of social distancing, I want to debunk and say we should talk about physical and social distancing. I think now we know that COVID is transmitted via air droplets.
Okay.
And that means that the 1.5 meter, I think scientific research already established, if we were to keep physical distance, we would be talking about 6 meters at least, not 1.5, which means that in terms of physical distance, nobody is pushing that anymore. We are talking about social distance, and that is where, no hard greeting, no hugging, you wear your mask and cover your nose and mouth.
Okay.
So in terms of education on this virus, I think we slowed down. We have not really explained it. So what I mean by whatever it takes, it is possible to organize our schools appropriately, provide the basics that are needed, which the government has not done, which I submit that there was a lot of moving around the country, but very little installing the systems that would help us keep our children safe, keep our teachers and school workers safe. But we also need to appreciate that in a pandemic like it is a balance between lives and livelihoods. And that's why I mean whatever it takes, because we have to balance our life. I dare say, if all the nations of the world were together in one place to talk about their experience with COVID, Kenya not talk much, because, given that one life is one too many, but if you consider our experience and the experience of other nations like UK, like US, like Brazil, our case load is still very, very low. And we thank God for that. So no reason for us to keep us closed. Let us get on with it. But government needs to be serious, because they don't seem.
All right, we all hope that things do not go south. In the event they do, we do not know what we're going to do, but then we cross that bridge when we get there, hoping that we will not get there at all. Let's drop this one and talk some bit of politics, because it's also crucial that we talk politics. And like I said, all this is also in the newspaper, so allow me not to even delve into the other newspapers. Irungu Kang'ata. And before we incorporated Dr. Mwangi, as we're saying hi to him, so Barack Muluka says that, where he comes from, that is in Murang'a County, is where everything is brewing in terms of matters BBI. And here we are. BBI seems to be, taking us rounds and rounds and rounds. I do not know how many people, receive this well. I do not know how many people receive these otherwise. But then again, the Central Kenya governors hit so hard on Senator Irungu Kang'ata and also Senator Irungu Kang'ata. Sorry, I don't know why I keep finding it so hard to pronounce that word. And it wasn't very easy. At first, there was something that was circulating, arguing that he is not the one who drafted that letter. But then again, later on, he acknowledges that indeed he drafted that letter that wasn't supposed to land into the eyes of the media, but sadly it did. And here we are today. We are discussing over a letter that indeed seemed like was very honest, based on how many people, on how people have analyzed it. But equally, seems like, it's a message or a political message being sent to someone. And as many would argue, probably this happened in the knowledge of President Uhuru Kenyatta himself, Eric.
I'm very glad that I come from Central Province, My name is Eric Ragalo, but I am a Luo who works and who lives in Central Province, who was born there and been there for long, and a politician there. So I mingle with people there so much. And I will talk as somebody who is Luo Kikuyu, who has been there longer and can speak the dialect. And has even has a whole
handshake compressed in one.
No, actually handshake found me because handshake found me. I was born there in the 80s. So
Okay.
handshake has found me there. And I will tell you, when the letter came out, and you will not imagine, the Kikuyu nation were very happy that someone is saying the truth. And someone is telling the king, man, you are in trouble. You are not listening to us. I don't know how the guys from ODM takes it, because I'm an ODM Damu, but I need to tell ODM, just like I've been telling them, wherever they have put their mind that a handshake will assist Raila get Central Kenya votes, is a fallacy. He will not get it.
Okay.
The Central Kenya votes are with William Ruto. The earlier we know that, the better we have our house together.
You're taking us a little bit too fast, Eric.
Yes.
Let's first of all discuss BBI. Don't take us to 2022 or
No,
BBI is technically 2022.
BBI is 2022. And the mindset of my people from Luo Nyanza, I was home in Siaya from 23rd to 27th. They are sure, trust you me, that this is the road.
Okay.
They don't know that I live for more than 30 years, not in Luo Nyanza, but in Central Kenya. The BBI is not a road to presidency or a road to Raila winning the Kikuyu votes.
So is that a polite way of saying that this letter was directly, being sent
it is
right
two
on
things.
Raila
It is
finger?
two things. It is Kangata telling the president the truth. It is the other two things. It is Kangata telling us in ODM, it is not the way we think. It is also the third thing. It is Kangata telling the central people that, hey guys, this BBI works better for us. And if we leave it, we are going to lose so much.
So is this Kangata speaking or President Uhuru Kenyatta speaking?
Because now let me tell you, in the 70 positions of added MPs, 32 positions are central.
Yes.
That means there will be the majority. This 32 comes with money, economy, and everything that comes with it. And many other goodies in BBI is located to one side. Let's just be open on our eyes. So Kangata is telling them with a letter, a aggrieved letter, but is actually positively telling them, if you let this thing away, we are losing these things. So it is them also to decide. Again, Kangata is telling the ODM guys, hey, you guys, these people are not pro this. And as we go, majority will vote no. And it may be really hard to convince the other communities to vote yes.
Irungu Kangata is the Senate Majority Chief Whip, would easily get access to the president if he needed to present this letter to him.
Indeed.
What happened?
And then he would not need also to copy the letter to somebody
else.
As a
And you cannot copy a letter without knowing.
As a communications person,
yes.
Because my area is really public communications, and quite a bit of it political communications. If you want to allow yourself the space to have the letter leak, you copy it to someone, or even to several people, and you do not indicate as you are copying it to them with a tick that this one goes to Eric, this one goes to Dr. Mwangi, this one, because when it circulates, we can tell which copy leaked.
Yes.
So that is one way of having a safety valve for yourself. Now, I want to agree and disagree also with the Dr. Eric here. There's a sense in which Kangata is talking to the people of Central Kenya, but he's not telling them that you are going to lose these goodies. He is telling them that I have been telling the president these things.
He did not want to listen.
But he does not listen. And just so that you may know that I've been telling him, I'm now writing to him. And after I have written to him, you will see what I have written to him. Irungu Kangata is in Murang'a, where the rubber meets the road. And as he was saying, he's mingling with the people in Murang'a, in other parts of Central.
Yeah.
And Murang'a, as we said informally, is where things Central Kenya begin. From Mukurwe wa Nyagadanga to Jomo Kenyatta becoming a member of parliament to wherever.
Yeah.
To Jubilee being defeated in a by-election in a little ward in Murang'a. To members of Parliament and National Assembly and Senate who have been very close in Kieleweke, beginning to run away from the president, whether you talk about Alice Wahome, whether you talk about Isaac Mwaura, whether you look
the
at
latest. And someone argues that when you see this from Irungu Kangata, these are tenets of someone who wants to defect.
They are telling you that the kitchen is hot and we can no longer stay there.
Okay.
And we have been saying these things to the president and he is not listening. Please see these things within the prism of the Uhuru Kenyatta succession.
Okay.
Increasingly going forward, Uhuru Kenyatta belongs to the past. There are other people who belong to the future. And without the need even to say there's so and so and so and so, those are the people around whom the people of Central Kenya, the politicians, the citizens will be accumulating. Something else that Irungu Kangata is saying is that the BBI has been associated with certain individuals. Eric has attempted to say that with Raila Odinga and with Uhuru Kenyatta. Uhuru Kenyatta belongs to the past increasingly, whether he likes it or not. He may be watching now or watch a clip of this afterwards and say, I don't like what Barack Muluka was saying, but I'm telling him the truth. Increasingly, Mr. President, you belong to the past. And what you need to be doing is looking for a safe passage into the future that you can settle somewhere nicely and comfortably, and leave things succession alone. Because in 2002, President Moi belonged to the past, and he tried to come up with the Uhuru project.
It backfired.
It backfired. In 2013, President Mwai Kibaki belonged to the past.
Are you not in that school of thought that argues he's too young to exit?
It doesn't matter. If he was not too young to rule, he can never be too old to exit. Okay? So that is where he is. The people of Central Kenya may not know who they want as their next president, but they certainly know who they don't want as their next president. And they are looking at the BBI as a vehicle that has been fashioned to impose somebody upon them in the Uhuru Kenyatta succession. And they are sending the message out there loud and clear that kama ni huyu, it doesn't matter. To borrow from Dr. Moses Mwangi, whatever it takes, we will not accept this individual to be our leader in Central Kenya.
Now, Moses Mwangi, can you speak for the people of Mount Kenya? Wacha hii kidogo ya Eric ya kusema alihamia huko, right? We want to hear this from the horse's mouth. Is what Barack is saying, you know, what exactly is happening down there? Has it gotten to that point?
I think Barack is right. You know, he's a very good history student and political analyst. History teacher. You know, you never cease being a student in life.
I'm a student.
Oh, is it? Yes.
No, you are right, yes.
Kangata is my senator in Murang'a. I would like to look at his statements in two ways. One, he is not just a senator, he is the whip of Senate. And really what he has exposed to us is that the house in which he is living is not in order, because he is completely out of order by writing that to his boss who gave him a job. Number two, the issues that he has raised are the real issues on the ground. The ground in Murang'a and in Mount Kenya does not understand BBI. When I talk about the ground, I talk about the real voters. For me, and Kang'ata and those that understand, we have read and we can see the benefits in there. But the Wanjiku on the ground was poisoned long before the BBI report came out. And nobody has tried to explain to Wanjiku what is in the BBI for us. And therefore, in that context, I think Kang'ata has been honest. The letter now also exposes the real situation in Murang'a and Mount Kenya, that we do not have elected leaders who can be able to start and be trusted by the people. He's actually telling the president, unless you come out yourself and come to the people and explain to the people the messages you have sent, the provincial administration is using the wrong tactics. The elected political leaders have not taken the time and the effort to explain. So there is no messenger on the ground, which is the real situation. We have a vacuum in political leadership in Mount Kenya region. Majority of the elected leaders do not have what it takes for people to trust them, which is a disaster. He's telling the president, we have a disaster ahead of us. Come and correct it. And that is the real situation, because things went wrong somewhere along the road in the course of the last 7 years, whereby what the people of Murang'a and the people of Mount Kenya required leaders who can stand on their feet. We missed that. Somehow they were axed out. And that is the reality. So I give it to Kang'ata for being honest, but I also say to him, my friend, you sit on the high table. You can tell the king things are wrong on the high table unless you want to tell us that you have told him, as Dr. Barak says, and he has not listened. Is that the truth?
And this is basically the reason why many people have read propaganda in this. Probably the reason why Eric argues the way he argues today. And one would question and ask, you know, like, is this an advice to the president, or is a message from the president to Right Honorable Raila Odinga? Maybe hence your argument. Should we read propaganda? Do you really suppose that there is need to not to, you know, like, rule out propaganda in the whole thing?
I've been with Raila since 2002. I'm one of those oldest people. Barak, I've been with you also when you were there, though we never met in corridors. And I've been one of the strongest supporter of Mzee in Central Province. Remember, in 2017 elections, I hosted him and went with him all around Central Province. And until such a point we reached Githurai, and you know what happened. And I am close to the hierarchy of ODM.
Yes.
So when I speak, it hurts me that sometimes our communications don't reach Mzee, because some people want to feel that they are very close, and actually it's true, they have the ear of Mzee than me. But me, I talk the truth, because where I am, I'm not going to pamper him and tell him, oh, things are right when they are wrong. I've lost 3 elections just because I love him. And I'm not going to lose another one this time around. Because now we have just to be honest.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
I also want to be in parliament. Maura went to parliament, left me there. We were with him. Former women rep for Nairobi was with us. When his father was our chairman, the whole Kiambu. She was nominated. Oh, she went to parliament. She left me.
You've been left.
How many people have left me in ODM? The MCA Kahawa Wendani, who died, was with me in ODM. He left Jubilee. He went. He got his seat. He died. He left me there. I mean, we have to be honest. If we are looking at Central Province as the launching pad of Raila Odinga to win 22 election, we are going to fail. I don't understand why ODM left Nairobi governorship for Jubilee. We would have gone there to lose it. We would not have lost anyway.
This is
why I'm saying this is all this BBI is actually political. All this BBI, you don't look at it nicely, is going to hit us very badly. We've lost Msambweni. Was it Msambweni?
Yeah.
Because of BBI.
All right. Hold it right there. Barack, briefly.
The negatives in BBI is eating us, and I know because I live there. And we are going to suffer more if we push this thing into people's throat. That's why I went no, because I saw this thing is not going anywhere. I will be no DM, but I'll vote no.
He was a proponent before, and then boom, all of a sudden,
all
somewhere
those
in between
books, my names are there, written behind those books as one of those biggest contributors. But why did I go no? Because this thing is political. This is not anything we are talking
about. Barack, guns blazing, directed at Irungu Kang'ata after this letter from, a majority of leaders from Mount Kenya, a majority of them also being governors. And they are the ones who equally delivered the signatures, saying that people have appended their signatures in support of this document, to be presented to the IEBC. When this comes out, what does it speak of the signatures that we got? And where does it land, this conversation of BBI?
You see, Kang'ata has said that the iron fist is what has been used to secure those signatures. That people have been coerced to sign, so that when you see those signatures, please treat them almost as if they were forced confessions. They are not things that people quietly, in the privacy of the voting booth, are going to deliver. They will take this thing in a different direction. And who has been in charge of this? It has been provincial administration. I don't know what else to call it, because I think that is what it still is anyway. Provincial commission administration, with the regional commissioners, with the chiefs, sub-county commissioners, and all those. It has also been the governors. So if the president has been cheated, he has been cheated by the provincial administrators and by the governors. And so they must come and stand up very quickly to protect and defend themselves and say, wait a minute, this person is not telling the truth. But we have got to go beyond that and look at this thing again within the prism of the Uhuru Kenyatta succession from a different strand. There's the Uhuru Kenyatta succession at the national level. But there's also the Uhuru Kenyatta succession in central Kenya, where someone must rise head and shoulder above everybody else. And when somebody makes a brave move, such as Kang'ata has made, he starts towering above the rest, head and shoulder. And they must move very quickly to trim him back down to size. You see, the elected political class in the Senate and in the National Assembly is the face of politics everywhere in the country, with very few exceptions. We tend to forget that the governors are also part of the elected political class in the country. And when you talk about succession, certainly in other democracies where they are governors, they become some of the frontmost runners in the succession game. So when you look at central Kenya, You may see Moses Kuria coming up with his political party here, PP, trying to field a candidate in Nairobi. There are succession issues there. You may see Mwangi Kiunjuri somewhere with his own party. There are succession issues.
Yeah.
You are going to see the broader Mount Kenya region, Kiraitu Murungi with his Mbas coming back is part of the succession game within that whole area. So you do not necessarily state that they agree that Kang'ata is wrong. They probably believe in their hearts of hearts that he is right. But it is politically expedient that they should pull him down as much and as fast as possible. Finally, just as a footnote to a question you asked my brother Eric here, is this Uhuru Kenyatta talking to Raila Odinga? I don't think so. Right?
Historically, we remember the Nazi,
I know
using
about,
propaganda and all this.
I know about propaganda.
Yes.
Quite a bit in this country. I think there are just about a dozen or so people who purport to know about propaganda more than some people I know of. But Uhuru Kenyatta is the president of this country. And he has got Raila Odinga where he wants him. If he wants to tell him that this thing is not working among my people, he can tell him. And I have reason to believe that he has already told him. How many times have we heard that Uhuru Kenyatta is taking Raila Odinga to Central? And how many times has that been put off indefinitely? What are the drivers of that being taken off the cards indefinitely? It is that Uhuru Kenyatta keeps telling Odinga, Raila Odinga, my brother, Nikubaya. Nikubaya. So? And when he went there to test the waters on his own, not too long ago, in Nyeri and elsewhere, you saw that he met indifference. The people didn't even bother, they didn't even seem to notice that the most powerful person in the country was around. And the people of Central Kenya can be very stubborn and defiant. Na wakikukataa,
they can only be rented, so they say. With the words of Anne Waiguru.
That's why I said I've been there longer. And I've been a politician there longer, since 2002. So when I say we are not okay there, let's not push it so much. Let's go to areas we can get votes. I mean, we don't have to fight death there. It's not going to work. Next year is the election. I mean, we are still talking of how to get votes in Central. They are gone.
All right, Daktari, let's come to Moses as we close on this and go to a different subject altogether. So who is supposed to take note of this letter and act on it? Now that we speak about the central region at large and now that we speak about President Uhuru Kenyatta, who is to act on this particular letter? Dr. Moses, briefly.
I must say that BBI is not dead, and I would really urge our people to look at this baby and not throw it out with the bath water. I think Irungu Kang'ata is telling our president, let us go back to basics to repackage this PBI and explain it better to the people. I want to really say, although the politics of 2022 are intertwined in PBI, we, the people of Kenya and the people of Murang'a and the people of Mount Kenya region, deserve to step back and think about the bigger future. And I think the letter is supposed to be read by those that advise the president, those that sit at the kitchen cabinet, and tell them the game you have played is not going to score, and we could lose an opportunity of a lifetime, and therefore change the game. And from where I sit, I believe, and I agree with Dr. Muluka, the people of Mount Kenya are stubborn people. when we take a position, and we can actually take a position overnight and change the situation. And therefore, before it is night, Kangata is saying, let us go back to the drawing board, let us repackage this thing. Otherwise, people are looking at BBI as if it is a 2022 matter. I agree it is, but for me, there is a lot more than 2022. Just think about where we have just come from. I think we have...
But is there a luxury of time? Is there a luxury of time when we're talking about going back to the drawing board and probably having a review of the same? Briefly.
Well, there's no luxury of time. I think the report as it is, very, very quickly, we can change the messages, we can explain it to the people, and we can change from 2% to 50% or 60%. It can happen within a month or two. As I say, we in Central Kenya, overnight, just one night is enough to change the direction that we are going once we understand what is innate for us. Our people have not understood what is innate for them.
All right, someday we're going to discuss, just how rigid we are in terms of politics of affiliation, and politics of tribe and all that. Close this subject for us.
May I talk about Central a bit? When they were getting, or we were getting coordinators of BBI in regions, actually they brought in political competitors of the same people who are in the seats. Now that is actually also very wrong. And then we wouldn't have left out some people during the BBI launches and what have you. I saw what happened in Central region launch, no, Mount Kenya region. Kabogo drove in highly on his vehicle, branded vehicle in Meru. When he went in, he was never even given a microphone to say hi. And he came in with trailers, branded, people following Kabogo. You know how he is, and he brings enthusiasm into people. I expected Kabogo will drive something. When we left such people who we know are powerful, just because someone feels this guy will take over the mantle of kingship from this side to this side, we left some people out. If Kabogo was a driver in Kiambu County, I'm giving a direct example. How many people would follow BBI just because Kabogo is in Kiambu County and is the main driver in Kiambu County?
Very many.
You know that we don't leave people who create enthusiasm and push over something. Then you bring lukewarm people. They are the county coordinators who are more office than ground, and that is where BBI is lost here. Look at BBI in Nyanza province. The coordinators are actually the elected leaders. They are there every day talking about BBI. Why? Those people are doing 90%. And these other guys here are doing 10%. How? That is the truth of the matter.
Okay.
And Kabogo, since that day, he removed the brandings and he kept off.
Okay.
Sasa kuleni matumbo yenu. That is what we are eating here.
All right.
We have to be honest with each other.
I don't know how well he did as a governor for the people of Kiambu, but that is story for another day. Yes. I don't know how much we need to talk about politics of ideology to our people. Let this sink into their head as opposed to, to politics of tribalism.
But it is a package.
It comes along as a package.
BBI has been badly packaged. Badly positioned, badly marketed. You cannot close the cell. You cannot.
But is that a polite way of saying that you're in agreement with what is within this document, but the packaging is what?
Some of the things I would agree with, others I would not agree with, because it's also been laced with sweeteners, while at the crust of it, there is a poison.
So the multiple choices approach would be friendly enough for us to get some of the goodies and lose what is not working for us?
I wouldn't use the expression multiple choices, but it's perhaps because I'm a linguist, and therefore I tend to place more premium on words.
On this, yes.
It's just isolation of issues with different ballot boxes for each cluster of issues,
right,
which is different from multiple choice, and I think
yes.
even that is being said deliberately
For the common mwananchi to probably
to mislead
Okay.
the common mwananchi that you are going to be taken to a classroom.
And then you tick A, B, C, and all
A, B, C, D.
Gentlemen, let's close down on this and briefly, before we call it a day, talk matters Nairobi politics. And yes, yesterday High Court suspended the gubernatorial by-election that was slated for February the 18th, pending the hearing and also determination of the petition that was filed by former Governor Mike Sonko, who was, yes, impeached as, is this at late or as early as last month? I mean, here we are.
Last month,
It's
yes.
last month, yes.
I told you Sonko is going.
Yes, you
and
did.
I told you Waweru will be the governor. You remember
Yes,
my words?
yes.
Waweru will be the governor. And you asked me, how do I know? And I told you, this is politics. You can know things happening. Actually, Sonko was to go a long time ago. And Waweru was to be a governor by March last year. It was too long.
But here we are. This has been suspended.
What he's not telling you
Is that
he is supposed to be governor without being elected.
Because in this,
And
if it's
the machinery and machination is that you bring in the person whom Sonko had nominated as deputy governor, and she takes over. Write this in your diary.
Okay.
She takes over as deputy governor, and the same day she also takes over as governor, and she appoints a deputy governor.
Okay.
But after walking a short distance, she resigns. And that deputy governor becomes the governor. And the people of Nairobi have a brand new governor whom they have not elected.
Doctor, are you listening to this?
Yes, I'm listening to people who have real politics.
Okay.
Goes behind. Really, it is a sad day because indeed Nairobi deserves better.
Yeah.
It is unfortunate that we have electoral injustice in Kenya, which many of us thought that the BBI and other mechanisms would resolve before the next election, because it seems like Ajiko's voice does not matter, because even Sonko becoming governor, if you look at it, it came from very far.
Yeah.
The political parties sit on the table and they decide this is the person we want here, and then they push and make Wajiko sing their song. We have a problem, and I fear that if we miss the opportunity to rectify this problem sooner than later, one day we'll end up back where we were in 0708, which would be a disaster. So I think they need to let the people of Nairobi to decide who their governor is. And I think I want to agree here. No reason why ODM should not front a candidate. No reason why Jubilee should not front a candidate. No reason why independents who want to be governor, and let the people decide. We in Morala, I believe in the slogan, let the people decide. But now it's when the establishment pushes their idea onto the people, now we know we shall reject. The people of Kenya are rejecting whatever the system puts in place, which leaves Nairobi in trouble. Let the people decide. We have a by-election. We don't want Sonko back. We want to have a by-election.
Okay.
We want to have one, and the government should sit back and let the people decide.
All right, it's an issue in court, so we cannot really dig deep into the same. But then I'd love for us to mention names. Do we still say that the final person that you're talking about is in Waweru, as he says?
I don't know who the person
exactly
is.
But that is a card.
But I can read this situation like an open book. President Uhuru Kenyatta and former PM Raila Odinga have people they expect and they would like to be governor and deputy governor. And the machinery is very clear. Get Kananu to be sworn in. Get the assembly to withdraw the complaint against Kananu. Get her to be sworn in as deputy governor.
Okay.
Get her to become governor the same day. And perhaps even as she's taking that oath, she already has given out a post-dated letter of resignation as governor of Nairobi. And the person who has been given to her as her deputy governor becomes the governor.
Automatic.
And he or she names the new deputy governor. The path is so clear, I can see it as clearly as I'm seeing you here.
Governor Waweru, Deputy Siengo.
So Lister, Barrister Miguna is just playing it.
He has the names.
Miguna is the best.
He has the names.
He says Governor Waweru, Deputy Siengo.
We wait to see.
Governor,
we can only wait to see.
Miguna would have been the best man for Nairobi.
Okay.
We still have injustices in this country, and I feel very sad. I went to court cases where we followed Miguna. I went to Nairobi law courts, and we followed Miguna to the airport when he was being whisked away. And it still pains me because I was with him or through that road. It pains that he still feels part of this country, but he's still being denied his country. And I don't want to talk more about Miguna because it makes me feel very emotional.
All right. Coming to you, Daktari, briefly, there is also that, I don't want to call it purported, but technically this ticket of Fogo and Wanjiru ticket, and technically most of the people who presented their interest wanting to vie for Nairobi, what happens to them if at all what it is that Barack speaks of and what Eric speaks of is anything to go by?
Well, by the time the president brought in NMS, which in my view has rescued the situation in Nairobi, then you know that he has the bigger view of what Nairobi should be.
So if we get if we get a governor that probably the government would have wanted, a good governor for that matter, then we disband NMS, or what happens?
No, we need to get a governor that can work with NMS, because NMS is already driving a very good agenda right to the election time. I think you know there was a proposal in BBI which was quickly dropped to make Nairobi a special area. But in fact, I agree that we should elect people. So I don't see the president and his older brother allowing anything to go that will disrupt what is already in place, which is working for Nairobi. So the other people can wait for 2022.
So there's no constitutional opening that would allow us to maintain NMS and probably do not get a governor until 2022.
I think there is whatever it takes. I don't think NMS is going anywhere before 2022, and it should stay. I think, there is a way of working around things, and we in Nairobi are happy to have NMS continue to deliver the results. Let's get a governor, can work with them. Again, I use the word whatever it takes.
All right. Well, then came the Twalib order, or better yet, a talk that coming all the way from the Integrity Center. They argue that if someone is impeached, then they should not be allowed to proceed and vie for another office. What is this likely to bring, Barack?
I'm a voter in Nairobi. There are a lot of people who live here who are not part of us
yes,
when it comes to making these decisions. And I feel completely disenfranchised when somebody who is handpicked from somewhere has got to do things that should be done by people
by the person you vote.
we can elect. I'm a voter.
Yes.
in this city of Nairobi. A lot of people are our visitors. They may live here, but they are not Nairobians. They are not part of us.
Yeah.
When push comes to shove, they go to vote in Kakamega, they go to vote in Mombasa, they go to vote in Murang'a, in Nyeri, in wherever. And so these matters should be left to Nairobians to decide the government of Nairobi. Yes, we all have a stake in this city.
Yeah.
And we have had problems. We have had the Timothy Ramtu Commission, Fred Gumo, Brigadier Shigoli, I don't know who else. And it's basically because State House keeps on interfering with matters of Nairobi. If we have had Sonko and he has not been a good governor, it is because State House wanted him there. President Uhuru Kenyatta was gallivanting with him all over the place, moving from post to pillar and pillar to post and back again, telling us this is the right person. And he enjoyed when Sonko was putting him on speakerphone to speak to the people of Nairobi. Whatever disagreements they have had inside there, in those chambers, we don't know. They are the sorts of disagreements that the animals in Animal Farm and George Orwell have with the human beings, the exclusive pigs and the human beings. And we, the animals who are outside, do not know where they have disagreed. And they should not disenfranchise us. We should have the last word on the city of Nairobi. I do not know what exactly about EACC and the things that they have said.
It was upon that declaration.
It behooves anyone and everyone who has traveled that path in that disgraceful manner to step aside
and never to come back.
Do not force yourself also on the electorate, particularly where it is prone to manipulation. Go through the process of clearing yourself, and then you can come back. That is the price that you pay for occupying public space. Do not also just come and impose yourself upon us. Common decency requires that you also do an audit of yourself and say to yourself, okay, if this is where things have reached, let me prove that I am not that dirty person they are saying that I am.
Okay. All right, Eric, close the program for us on the very same note. What would this mean if at all that declaration by EACC would stand?
The declaration was declared a long time ago, and still people stood with questionable integrity. And the thing was, after the, I remember it was either Eugene Wamalwa was a minister then, and there's something that was written, I can't remember very well, that you have to go through all the avenues of clearing yourself, and if all these avenues are to the dead end, that is when you cannot stand. So until Sonko goes through the avenues, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm trying to remember something.
He will run.
He will run.
He will run.
The
until you clear.
The constitution is clear. The appellate processes must be
exhausted. Thank you. Now he's putting it right.
Indeed, in terms of Sonko, it's not even about him running again.
He will run.
It's about him coming back.
To interfere.
As not
interfere, but to run, coming back to Nairobi.
Coming back as governor.
Yes.
We saw Governor Wambora, who was
Martin,
impeached, and the things went through Senate. He went to the courts.
He was
reinstated.
Yes.
And Sonko can also be reinstated without having to go through a by-election, because the appellate processes are incomplete. And that's why I'm saying that sometimes my personal esteem, my personal integrity will tell me that don't run.
Don't run.
Don't even pursue it further.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Dr. Barack Muluka, Eric Regalo doesn't like me calling him anything to do with what it is that he does, but so allow me to call you a political analyst. Yes, he doesn't like that. I don't know why.
He didn't want to become a doctor. I can tell you the little secret.
And also, he's also so much so interested in matters politics. Maybe that's why someday we'll be calling you honorable. Is that that should work? Yeah. And yes, Dr. as we close it,
I needed to weigh in and say that EACC in the past failed us as Kenyans with regard to implementing Chapter 6 of our Constitution. If they can reinvent themselves and enforce Chapter 6 of the Constitution, then Kenya will be a better nation. What Dr. Barack proposes, which is what he and I and the right-thinking people who have integrity would do, to disqualify ourselves, to step aside because we don't fit the bill, is not the average politician. So EACC must come in hard and implement Chapter 6. Anybody with an integrity issue, anybody who is fighting an issue, obviously they have a right to be heard. They should not be part of the leadership of this nation. And the day we shall implement that, Kenya will be a better country. We'll have credible leaders, we'll have leaders who can start and people can trust them, they can explain what the BBI is and they can listen, and the money allocated to a county like Nairobi can be used. I must finish by adding, Nairobi is the capital city of Kenya. It is the seat of power for Kenya. And therefore, what happens in Nairobi affects 47 million people. Yes, the voters in Nairobi must be given their say. And I think it is time we also appreciated that Nairobi is for all of us.
The whole country is for all of us.
Indeed.
Muranga is for me.
He is running for governor in Muranga, so yes, indeed.
Is
We'll
for
be
all of
watching
us.
you.
Yeah, there's no part of the country you can say it's not for all of us. In fact, I'm hearing that they also want to take NMS to Mombasa.
To Mombasa.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Where does that leave the voter?
Yeah, where does it leave the voter? Then will we need an election at all if the decisions that the voter makes are not put to consideration or are not upheld as expected? Thank you so much, gentlemen, once again. Barack Muluka, Eric Regalo, and lastly, Mwangi Moses. It was good having you this morning. That's why we close this segment of Morning Cafe. After this break, we'll be getting into a different segment altogether. We have a recorded interview on matters relationship, and we talk about infidelity, which is indeed is on the rise in marriages, and you get to understand some nitty-gritty details from a couple that is indeed very powerful, against the odds, have managed to